Hello and welcome to AppNotch.com. We convert websites into apps. Let's just try it for you today. Today I'm showing you how to add Google Analytics to your app. I'm going to start off by creating an app. Okay. At this point you should have already created an app. Now it's time to add the Google Analytics. So if you don't know about Google Analytics can be used for many different purposes. They are used on websites, and now they have a new thing for mobile apps. We're going to go ahead and skip to step 4 for Android or step 5 for Apple. If you can see here, down here, there is a Google Analytics checkbox where you will enter in a Google Analytics tracking ID. But first, let's find out how to get a Google Analytics tracker key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our how-to section and click on the Google Analytics tab. This here explains how to use the Google Analytics and how to create an account. So how do I get a Google Analytics tracking ID? You can create a new analytics account if you do not have one, and just by visiting Google Analytics. Then we're going to create a property. So let me click here, Google Analytics. This takes me to the Google Analytics homepage, which you'll see up here says sign in. If you already have a Google account, you can hit sign in and it will try and log you in. We're going to select Google Analytics. There's some other things with Google Analytics Suite, but today we're focusing only on Google Analytics. As you can see here, I already have an account and I could just sign in and it will log me into Google Analytics. But today I'm going to show you how to create an account. So if you already have a Google account and you want to create a new one just for analytics, that's fine. Click sign in with a different account, add account, and then create account. We're just going to fill in the blanks: name, email address, password, birthday, and hit next step. Now check your email for a verification link and click on it. And it should set me up and continue to my account. Now you see here, this is the main dashboard of my Google account because I created a new Google account. I'm just going to go back to Google Analytics and hit sign in. Google Analytics. And here we go. Start analyzing your site's traffic in 3 steps. Sign up for Google Analytics, add a tracking code, and learn about your audience. We're going to click over here on sign up because I just created a Google account, but now I need to associate that with a Google Analytics account. So I'm going to sign up for Google Analytics. It's easy and free. I'm going to hit sign up. If you've never had an account before, you'll come to this page. This is a property setup because it's kind of useless if you don't have a property. And a property is associated with a tracking ID. By the end of this, you'll have a tracking ID. Every time you create a new property, a form will appear such as this, and it will ask you, what would you like to track, a website or a mobile app? We're going to select mobile app. Enter an account name, and also enter in an app name. You can pick the industry of your app. And then also we're going to pick a reporting time zone. So this is important. You need to pick your reporting time zone to correspond with your location because the data gathered by analytics will not be displayed until midnight of that specific time zone. We're located in St. Louis, so we're going to choose Central Time. There's also some data sharing settings. Read more on the implementations of these checkboxes, but we're just going to go ahead and leave them all checked. Also here at the bottom it says you are using 0 out of 100 accounts. So we're setting up an account, but also a property underneath that account. You can have multiple accounts up to 100 linked together. So then finally we're going to go down here and click Get Tracking ID. Make sure you accept the Terms of Service Agreement, and then it will give you your tracking ID. So what we're going to do here is copy paste this, go back to our how-to guide, and it says, how do I enable Google Analytics? On Configure Page Step 4 and Step 5, there's a checkbox. Looks similar to this. A text box will appear and you will enter in the tracking ID that was just created and then click Apply Changes. And here is an example. So I'm going to go back to my app on Step 4, scroll down to the Google Analytics section, check the Enable box, and paste in the tracking ID from earlier. I'm then going to click Apply Changes. Changes have been successfully saved. You may want to follow the Mobile App Analytics Guidelines, which suggests that you have a different property ID for different device platforms, namely Android and iOS. You don't have to have different IDs here for Step 4 and Step 5, but you could also have one or the other or both. Google Analytics automatically knows the app's device type. You may use the same tracking ID for both Android and iOS, but it is not required. We left that up for you to decide, to choose how you would like to receive your data. You may want to follow the Mobile App Analytics Guidelines, which does suggest having a separate property for both Android and iOS. Today I'm going to use the same tracking ID for both. So I'm going to go back to my Step 5 configuration page where Apple details are stored. Scroll down here to the Google Analytics section, check the Enable Google Analytics checkbox, and paste in my tracking ID. Going to hit Apply Changes. Depending on if your app is already live, you may need to republish your application to have this feature working inside your app. This is because Google Analytics is a new feature. Older apps will, of course, not have the necessary code to complete Google Analytics operations. If you see this message while entering a Google Analytics tracking ID, you need to republish your application. You can do so by going to Step 8, checking the box, and reactivating the platform. If you'd like to create a new property and send it there, you can change the Google Analytics tracking ID and hit Apply Changes, but it may take up to an hour for the changes to occur inside your app. Thank you for watching AppNotch Analytics Part 1. Thank you for choosing AppNotch.